about your own culture's a revolutionary act.
Oh gosh, I just noticed that I was listening to the music and I forgot to check what was going on. Sorry about that. Anyway, hello. So I haven't streamed in like a million years on YouTube. So back to, normal boomer tech, I suppose. Boomer tech hours for boomer tech people. What are you going to do? Anyhow, so let's see here. Wrist check. Currently wearing my Casio F91W. Brilliant watch. Very inexpensive. Fantastic. Highly accurate. Very inexpensive. Once again. So anyone can pick one of these bad boys up, and I absolutely recommend doing so. These bad boys are within 5 seconds per month. Well, for me, those are the ones that I've gotten very lucky with them. Join the water resistance. Anyway, yeah, I'm going to be taking off from California if everything goes according to plan. And that's why basically my streaming has been negligible at best. As it turns out, preparing to go places really does take a lot of time, effort, and energy. So, take that for what you will. Anyway, I was thinking once again a little while ago, yesterday in fact, I was chit-chatting with a guy that I met through Tom Kozinski. I don't know if anyone here, there's only 9 people here, so me, 4 or 5 actual people plus my Guardian Fed. Everyone say something nice about your Guardian Fed right now. That's very important. Anyway, for my Guardian Fed, whoever you may be, Tom Kaczynski's a good guy, and you should stalk him too. I love him. He's a great dude. And you should go and subscribe to his channel. It'd be great to get one more, maybe not red-pilled, but perhaps purple-pilled person, watching these. So go check out Tom Kaczynski. Anyway, I was talking with somebody that I interacted with via Tom Kaczynski. Lamprey, I think his name was Lamprey Milt. I like the guy. I think he's cool. Apparently he has a little channel of his own, and by little I mean like 17 times the size of mine. So he's, I'm a micro streamer. He's just a regular streamer. Anyway, and as I was talking with the guy, good guy, I liked him. Let me see if I can find him actually. Because I chatted with him yesterday, and I think he does I think he uploads them. He doesn't stream them. He just uploads. So he edits out all of the ums and uhs, the kind of bullcrap that I do all the time. All right, there we go. Look at that. I'm going to subscribe to his channel right now. And I think he's on. I think he's on BitChute. It doesn't look like there's anything on YouTube, but whatever. I'm subscribed anyway. Anyhow, as I was chit-chatting with the guy, I was reminded about here I'll link to his channel on freaking YouTube. But I think that's kind of silly, because he's on, I'm pretty sure he's on, there we are. I'm pretty sure he's on BitChute. Let me see if I can find that. Anyway, as I was talking with him, I was reminded of, because I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces, and let me just say, quick hello to everyone, hey everyone, I really like seeing familiar face. Well, you're not faces, you're all text. Just as I'm a disembodied voice with, Eke Lux, there. It's kind of weird. Hold on one second. Let's see if I can find Lamprey Milt on BitChute. My computer is being uncooperative, which is unfortunate. There we go. Searching now. Anyway, I was reminded of community. I was reminded of how, I know, I don't know you guys, but, I kind of get a vibe for you guys, and it's cool. I like seeing the faces, and I'm often reminded about how, I'm seeing a lot here. I'm seeing a lot. Apparently he's all over on BitChute. Look at that. I actually found I found one just right away. Lamprey Milt returns to our interesting times to discuss his article LA Riots Revisited, and this is from April 28th, 2021. But that's not, I'm not sure this is Lamprey Milt's channel, so I'm gonna go and see if I can find his channel specifically. Apparently he does stuff with MGTOW or something like that. Here we go, MGTOW, little chats or whatever. So let me see if I can. All right, copy and then in. Boom, done. And nothing against the guy, but Bearcingetorix is here. Hey buddy, what's going on? Tom Sawyer, howdy do. Juan Doses, what's going on? Dawning Amar, very good to see you. Reptile, howdy do. It's great to see all of you. But I was reminded about how, you do end up with kind of community of one sort or another. And even though I, for reasons that are quite reasonable, even though I've not been streaming on YouTube, I do have it in the back of my mind that, it is a good thing to be streaming. And Terrence McKenna, as retarded as he may be, God rest his soul, he died of freaking brain cancer. Of all the things, being a psychonaut and then dying of brain cancer, good heavens. Anyway, he said one thing that always stuck out in my mind, and that one thing was find a rock and speak. And I think there is something to that. All of my ridiculous streaming that I did from 2018 on YouTube, from 2018 all the way into early 2020, yeah. And it's kind of neat that you start to see people, you start to recognize, and you start to form connections and so on. Little tiny, even though it's only over the internet, and I get that. We're all hideously isolated, and that's very unfortunate, and I don't like it. But any kind of connection that you can make with people, any kind of bonds, communication, stability, we need to be moving in this direction. Yesterday, as I was speaking with Lamprey Melt, we talked a little bit about neighborhoods. And I've discussed neighborhoods here in Los Angeles now and again over the years. And, for those who don't know, or, who haven't heard me prattle on about this before for some reason, even though I talk about it every couple months, probably every couple of weeks, the average turnover for rentals here is 4 years. And what that means is you don't have a neighborhood in Los Angeles. You just don't. You don't have a community in Los Angeles. You just don't. And there's a peculiar thing that I've noticed, which is that whatever you are around the most will tend to get impressed on your mind, whether positive or negative. It just makes a mark. That's it. When I was very young, I don't know what to make of it anymore, but I listened to a lot of the radio, and I watched a lot of MTV, and boy howdy, I freaking loved Beavis and Butthead. Dumb show, don't care. And to this day, I still remember Beavis going absolutely nuts, saying fire a bunch of times, and how there's a big stink because some absolute nitwit decided that he was going to set his sister on fire, and she died. And from that moment on, MTV, for legal reasons, never allowed any more episodes of Beavis and Butthead where Beavis would shout fire. No more. What is it? Pyromania? I think that's the word I'm looking for. So, Rupert Morris is here. Hey, buddy, what's going on? Impressions are made. It's easier when you're younger, and as you get older, it takes a lot longer for impressions to be made. When I was a little kid, I used to be able to do fairly convincing fake accents of people from other countries, and then I stopped doing it sometime in my 20s, and I tried to pick it up again in my 30s, and I noticed that after over a decade and a half of zero practice with foreign accents, gone, absolutely gone. So repetition does mean something. Anyway, we do need repetition, and we do need stability. We absolutely need stability. And I happen to know that one or two of the people here are tolerant to nationalistic thought patterns. And if anything, we should be the ones that are, number one, the most receptive to stability and community. It's number one. Number two, we should be the ones that are forming it. And for this reason, it's not that I feel specifically bad about it per se. I don't know what to make of it. It's just that, not streaming. has just caused me, and then just deciding to do a little stream today has caused me to realize that any stability at all is something. And even for micro streams, I actually think it's worthwhile. I do. I really think it's worthwhile. I would advocate and endorse and applaud and support anyone here in chat helping others to do something or doing something yourself that involves some kind of community building of some sort. Here in LA, it's just freaking difficult. Everyone's got like jobs, they got things to do, so on and so forth. It's a really, really big deal, and it kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie. And because I'm looking at leaving, I would feel kind of raw about trying to form community here and then basically buggering off and being like, all right guys, see you later. It's up to you, have fun. That sucks. That's not great. That's really not great. Wherever I go, I want to have it in mind that I want to do something. And one of the things that has popped into my mind a lot is, these little streams. I do enjoy them, and wherever I go, and just for the sake of it, the place that I'm going to be going to initially is not going to have stable internet, so there's basically going to be no streaming from me at all, not even on DLive, for much longer than a couple of days. And I have no choice but to come back to Los Angeles at some point. I have to pick up my kitty cat. I freaking love the little girl. And so I'm going to come back, I'm going to pick up my kitty, and I've got, other things, you've got various things, I'm going to have to pick up my my spare watches and straps and so on, because, what would I do if I didn't have my my Casio collection? I'm going to have to go out, when I take my little trip, I'm going to have to go out with just the bare bones. I'm probably only going out with, like, my F91, my A158, and my favorite G-Shock, and that's probably going to be about it, because I'm not really going to have the time, space, or inclination to keep anything more. So, bare bones, you guys, bare freaking bones. Anyway, I'm going to have to come back, and when I do come back to LA to pick up my my various things, I'll be able to stream again, and wherever I go after that, I can't help but think to myself, I do think it would be a good idea for me to begin streaming once again. So that's going to be reprioritized, because even though this is basically glorified ham radio in a way, stop and think about it. All of the streamers that do this stuff, every one of them is kind of like a boomer that does ham radio. Isn't that funny? You think that, I'm so tech savvy. I'm not tech savvy at all, but I'm thinking of other people that are more knowledgeable about this, that are actually professionals or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, I'm doing all this cool stuff. Sorry, that was my lucky dime. My apologies. And these people doing all these, neat things, streaming and fancy lighting rigs and so on and so forth. Meanwhile, stop and think about it, dude. Bill Cooper was doing this back in the 90s. He just didn't have cameras, and he wasn't doing it on the internet. He was just broadcasting from his freaking basement or whatever. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and play just a little bit of music right quick. Some music that kind of gets me in the mindset, or rather, some music that describes the mindset that I am currently occupying. Speaking of boomer tagging, you know what I forgot to do? Yeah, it's been so long since I've streamed here on YouTube. A little bit of me. See, there it went again. There it went again. Do you see that? This is what happens. This is what happens when you haven't streamed in a million flippin' years. All right, let's try that one more time. Okay. Here's some music that more or less sums up where I am mentally and emotionally.
is so strange when you don't know. How can you tell where you're going to? You can't be sure of any situation. Something could change, and then you won't know. Where do we go from here? It seems so old and near, just as far beyond as I can see. I still don't know what this all means to me. I have nowhere to go. I don't know what to do, and I don't even know the time of day. I guess it doesn't matter anyway. Life is so strange. Destination unknown. When you don't know your destination, and something could change. It's unknown, and then you won't know. Destination unknown. Life is so strange. Destination unknown. When you don't know your destination, and something could change. It's unknown, and then you won't know. Destination unknown. When will my time come? Has it all been said and done? I know I'll leave when it's my time to go. Till then I'll carry on with what I know. Life is so strange. Destination unknown. When you don't know your destination, and something could change. It's unknown, and then you won't know. Destination unknown. Life is so strange. Destination unknown. When you don't know your destination, and something could change. It's unknown, and then you won't know. Destination unknown. Life is so strange. 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 Life is so strange.
All right, that was Missing Persons with Destination Unknown. Fantastic track, by the way. And they had like one big album basically, with like three. Well, I guess they started off with an EP, and then they put out an album, and the album featured like one or two of the tracks off of the EP. And they were really big. I think it was like 83 or something. It's like 82 or 83. I don't remember which. I think the EP was 82 or 81. Oh god, it's been a long time since I've thought about it. Whatever. Point is, these guys, they were out of Los Angeles, and for like just a hot second, they were really, really big here in Los Angeles. I have no idea if they were big outside of I doubt that they were big outside of Los Angeles. Kind of like how my understanding is Prince. I don't know if anyone remembers Prince, but he was this black guy, like Minneapolis or something, I don't remember. Chicago or what, somewhere in that area, like the Midwest. For whatever reason, Prince was really big in the Midwest, and like outside of the Midwest, like it's not that he's not popular, it's just that people are like, yeah, I remember Prince, and that's about as far as it goes. Meanwhile, in that area in the Midwest, for whatever reason, they're like, oh fuck yeah, dude, Purple Rain was awesome. It's really weird. Anyway, yeah, Bear Cingetorix, I freaking love that track too, not gonna lie. I would say that the zenith for myself for audio recordings really is like early 70s to early 80s. That's my favorite time period for audio recordings. And I think that just because, you know, when you're growing up, the sounds that you hear will tend to impress themselves. I've got a real soft spot for early 80s new wave especially. No idea why, but I would say that like 1982 to 1983 is probably my favorite area overall for like song construction, recording techniques, and technology. It was a great little area, and Missing Persons in particular, they've got I would say they got just the right balance of being a little bit prog, a little bit repetitive, you know, because there are progressions in their tracks, but you know, it's kind of dance music. You know, and you kind of want your dance music to stay put so that you can actually dance to it. Otherwise, you know, now you're involving yourself in freaking choreography, and you don't want to deal with that shit when you're just, you know, getting high and dancing or whatever. But anyway, it's got a good balance, a good mix of those things, and they got really catchy melodies. So yeah, big fan, great big fan. Anyway, and I'll be playing another little bit of music in just a minute. Juan Dosis asks, "Vintage, what the fuck, man?" Yeah, I'm a great big fan of just, well, obviously music in general, but I got a really, I have this thing. I like to go in one of two directions on a given moment when I'm thinking about music. I got a really big kick out of like the big super band stuff. Like I do not like Taylor Swift, but she does have that one track. Oh gosh, I made a Shake It Off. That's the one. I really like that track, Shake It Off. Yes, I understand it's pure globo homo. Believe you me, I get it. But I love, every so often, there is something about bubblegum pop that I actually do kind of like. So I ended up with a soft spot for Phil Collins. So I find myself going in one of two directions. I either go for like hyper mainstream that like everybody knows it's super cheesy and like everyone rolls their eyes when I play it. Like I like Seal. He's a douchebag. He's bombastic, but it's hilarious. Playing Seal at top volume is hilarious. And then on the other hand, you know, I love like the smaller stuff, like oh yeah, Tom Sawyer saying he can't stand that song, Shake It Off. And yes, it is a very, like, it's a bullshit track. I mean, good heavens, listen to the lyrics. You know, at one point she, like early in the track, she says something like, "There's nothing in my head," you know, and I hear that and I'm like, dude, these people are just encouraging chicks to be like NPC thoughts, and like that sucks, you know. So I'm listening to it and like I get it, I understand, I get it, but you know, it's catchy. What are you gonna do, you know? Anyway, but yeah, when I think of like vintage 80s new wave, I'm usually not thinking about Phil Collins. I'm usually thinking about something like you know, another favorite is Reflex, The Politics of Dancing. I freaking love that track. I don't care what anyone says, it's a great track. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, all of the all the artists that ruined soundtracks. Yeah, basically I kind of like those guys. Oh god, that's a little bit embarrassing, but whatever. What are you gonna do? How about Mystique? You know, I don't know if I know what Mystique is. Is that a band? No, I don't know Mystique. I'm not going to check out Mystique right now because I would have to actually like go through and listen to them, but I don't know them. That's funny. That just brought up one of my previous searches. Anyhow, yeah, I don't know who that is. Anyway, oh, yeah, Throwing It All Away. Yeah, I love that track. That's a great track. All right, I'm gonna play another little bit of music that has absolutely nothing to do with anything. Except for the fact that I hope that it doesn't give me a copyright strike. If I get a copyright strike off of this, I'm blaming everyone here, not me, because I did nothing wrong. I'm just going to blame all of you guys. Let me make sure that I am not boomer teching like a retard once again. Let's see here. Dawning Omar says, I love 80s tunes. When I was in my teens, I needed angry music. I'm sorry, underground hip-hop and rap was a go-to. I get it. I actually do get it. I went through a big phase where I absolutely adored aggressive music myself. And, this was in the late 80s, early 90s. And for whatever reason, most of the music that I liked as a little kid did not translate into my more aggressive mindset. I think, all young men go through this, all boys go through this, from like 13 up to maybe 17 or 18. You're just full of hormones. For some reason, you're just angry or upset or, whatever it is. Once you find yourself listening to much more aggressive music. And funny thing, Reptile says, Tears for Fears, Depeche Mode, Seagulls, Fine Young Cannibals, loved all of those. In fact, I could go on at length about Depeche Mode and Tears for Fears, but I do remember listening to songs from The Big Chair, I want to say when I was like 14, maybe 15 tops, and curiously, I remember listening to the album and thinking to myself, consciously, I was thinking to myself, this is objectively good music, and I cannot appreciate it because I'm not in a mindset to appreciate it. And I remember thinking to myself, I will like this later on. And then sometime, like in my 20s, I listened to the album again. I had it in my collection for, I don't know how long. I still have it. I have a physical copy. CDs. I don't know if anyone remembers those. And I listened to it and I was blown away. I was like, holy crap, this is an amazing... songs from The Big Chair. This is an amazing album. But yeah, 80s... for me, it was once... Because in my teen years, that was in the 90s. So for me, it was like... it was 9 Inch Nails and Prodigy and stuff like that. That was where I spent a lot of my... I liked electro. I think it was because of video games, when you're playing freaking Nintendo all the time, you start getting used to synthesizers and so on. So for me, it was all, Depeche Mode and Chemical Brothers and crap like that. Why? Synthesizers, that's why. Give me a drum machine and suddenly I'm happy. Very weird. I didn't start liking rock and roll until I got a little bit older, weirdly. Speaking of which, we're going to play a quick track. I hope that the algorithm doesn't tank the stream. We'll see how it goes.
You can fool yourself. You can cheat until you're blind. You can cut your heart. It can happen. You can mend the wire.
my understanding is it can happen to everyone eventually. This is what I've been told. I have yet to verify this for myself, but these are the rumors that are dancing about in the ether. Anyway, and I think I'm gonna play just a little bit more. I'm gonna play some more music. It's been a long time since I've streamed. For whatever reason, the algorithm is not taking me down, and I'm really, really happy about that. That's fantastic. Also, yes, Vangelis is freaking awesome. I love Vangelis. I don't care what anyone says. Call me a silly person, but, well, then again, everyone knows that I'm all about freaking noise. I don't know why, but I love it. Let's see here. Bearson Generic says that's why it's so important that Gen X stops this madness. We are the last ones to know how far we have fallen. Oof. That stings, actually. Because, oh my gosh. I'm old enough to remember when you would watch movies and television and listen to albums and whatnot, and you didn't have, there was political messaging, obviously. Clearly there was. Once you start to look back, you can see the subtext. You can see, because, what is it? Who owns media? Who? Qui, monsieur? Somebody owns media. Who owns media? And whoever those people, I don't know who those people are. I would never dare to seriously ask who those people are, nor even attempt to answer for obvious reasons. But I'm sure that there must be a group of people, some community, I don't know who they are, of people who do own media, and all one would have to do is just imagine to themselves, okay, fine, so there's a community of people that owns media. They can decide what gets published and what doesn't get published, what gets put out for consumption and what doesn't. And that which has certain types of messaging will be published. That which does not have certain types of messaging simply will not be published. And you don't even need to go micromanagement on it. All you need to do is just find people that already agree with you, publish their stuff. No coercion, no compulsion. You don't have to go very far with it at all. You simply find a person that generally agrees with you, and you make a point of saying, okay, I'm going to publish your stuff. All you have to do is just make a little tweak here and there. The person already agrees with you, and they're going to be like, yeah, man, sure, fine, no problem. We'll change a couple of words, we'll edit something here and there, whatever. And we'll make it happen. Boom, done, published, gets out, popular consumption, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, so the point is that the Tom Sawyer, no, I don't believe that there is any tribe that owns media. I would never violate terms and services and suggest anything of the sort. I am an ignorant fellow who knows absolutely zero about such things. But anyhow, the thing is that, I was thinking much younger, and roll your eyes. There is messaging in it, and some of it I don't like. To be sure, some of it I really don't like. But I was thinking about the movie Flight of the Navigator, and I actually really like the soundtrack to that movie. Who did the soundtrack to that? I think it was the guy who did the soundtrack to Star Trek or something. I'm pretty sure it's the same composer, but I don't recall. Anyway, he's got a really neat. It was either the guy who did Star Trek or Predator. No, I don't think it was the guy who did Predator. The guy who did Predator also did Who Framed Roger Rabbit. He even used the same fucking cues. I want to say it was the guy who did Star Trek. Whatever, doesn't matter. The soundtrack for Flight of the Navigator was just fantastic. If you guys want, it's basically the bath salts of 80s nostalgia. I would go ahead and say, go ahead and check out that soundtrack. Yeah, that was the spacecraft with one eye, which of course was voiced by Paul Rubin. And if you look at the stairs, okay, so well, maybe I can find it. 1 second. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you something. If I can find a clean image of it, looks like I just did. Where are we? All right, here we go. I want you guys to I want you to notice something as you look at this image. I want you to notice something. Where are we? There's the display. Let me make sure that I've got my furry prawn out of the way. Very good. Okay. I want you to notice this. Yeah, let's go to the display. And, okay, do you see this? Do you see that sign? Do you see that symbol? Does anyone know what that symbol is? Anyone? The triangular spiral? Does anyone know what the FBI says about that triangular spiral? There is something there. So yes, the messaging is real, and not all of it is wonderful. So let me just make sure that we're all on the same page here. Anyway, coming back to more innocent mindsets. Yeah, man, like, dude, the 80s, if you can somehow get past, yeah, I forget. Okay, so Flight of the Navigator, that was a Disney movie, by the way. I want you to note that. So as you are contemplating the symbolism there, do note Disney. Anyway, yeah, like, things were really, just in terms of being a little kid, going out, doing stuff, hanging out, playing with your pals, eating Doritos and drinking soda pop and doing normal people shit, actually going outside, interacting with people. It was great. It was just fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And I do attribute some of that to the demography of, Anonymous is here. Hey, buddy, what's going on? I saw somebody else up here. Did I say hi to Rupert Morris? Yeah, I did. I thought I saw one other person, but that's fine. I must be losing my mind. Anyway, I do attribute some of the safety of the mindset that one would have in the 80s. I do attribute some of that to the demography and to the general zeitgeist. There was almost a feeling in the 1980s and in the 1990s that, like, we had come out of something that was really intense, and that there was almost like I want to say an exhalation or a gasp of relief. That was the sensation. That was the vibe that was being put out back at that time. I think it's because of the close of the Cold War or whatever. We'd either beaten communism or we were beating communism. Yeah, that didn't turn out too well. And things were going to be okay. And I liked that vibe a lot. I really did like that vibe. And what Bersingetorix says is 100% correct, 100% the case. People of my age, we have watched within our lifetime, within one generation. Here, let's go ahead and actually, I've got an image associated with this. Here, check it out. And I'm going to let it speak for itself. The demography of America not only has changed, but irrevocably changed. And this is what people so many people fail to understand. The thing that people fail to understand is that the bottom of that graph, 0 to 5 years old, that's the future. That's what our children are going to grow up in. And it's not just a matter of, holding hands, singing Kumbaya, which is funny because only a freaking Gen Xer is going to remember the references of singing Kumbaya. No millennial, no Zoomer, I'm convinced of this, really understands the significance of singing freaking Kumbaya. Me being Gen X, like, I remember boomers talking about singing Kumbaya. I can't imagine for the life of me anyone in Los Angeles under the age of 30 knowing anything about the word Kumbaya other than that it is a thing that a boomer might say, or a Gen Xer. Anyway, this is going to be our future, and the people that are displacing us, they're being trained to despise us. They're being trained to hate us. And if you've got kids, which I think is a good thing, I think that we should be having kids. There is, the whole, overpopulation thing, and I kind of get it. Birth rates are down across the board, and there is some speculation that Donning Armor, you settled down, buddy. There is some speculation that because the lefties do not breed, what we're going to end up with will be lefties going away, and the only people remaining are going to be rightoids, who are going to do what? They're going to breed. And when you've got an explosive population, you do end up in resource problems. And this does become a very big issue. And there is some speculation that we could end up with that. Not within my lifetime. If I was lucky enough to have kids and find a beautiful NPC wife, then I would absolutely love and cherish. And I would make sure that, she's very happy and able to take care of the kids. And everyone's gonna have a good time. That would be my plan. And I would understand that none of the bad things that I'm talking about would happen during my kid's lifetime. With the overpopulation, the population bomb. That said, there would still be the other problem of, well, okay, fine. So now I've got kids. In my little fantasy world. Now I've got freaking kids that are going to grow up as a despised minority in their own country. A government that actively hates them for being born what they are. Well, that's terrible. That's absolutely awful. It's reprehensible. It's no good. And I genuinely think, and I'm serious about this, I genuinely think that people need to understand this graph. This graphic, rather, specifically 0 to 19, 0 to 19, all of that little section at the very bottom, 0 to 19, that's what people need to have drilled into their heads. Chaim Goldberger, nice to see you, buddy. People need to understand that we are going to be a minority, and that we're going to have to start thinking like a minority. We're going to have to start thinking. We need to adopt the mindset, the mentality of a group of people that are, if not under active attack, under passive attack. And I don't think that the majority of America has that in mind. Boomers are basically oblivious to all of this. They genuinely don't understand. I know this because I hang out with boomers and I hang out around boomers, and all boomers, their friends are all other white people. So they have no fucking clue. They just don't get it. Gen X, a fair amount of Gen X kinda gets it, but they, like, it depends on who you're talking to. It really depends on who you're talking to. I understood that there was a demographic shift taking place, but I didn't get the significance of it. So that was it was a big shocker. It was a big eye opener to me. So there are some Gen X people that get it, and some that don't get it, and some that like they intellectually understand what's going on, but they don't have, Orwell's word, belly feel. They don't have the belly feel of the situation. And I think that's what's missing from a lot of Gen Xers and millennials and Zoomers. They're sort of, they're a mixed bag. Some of them absolutely are all about it. They're like, yeah, man, global homo, that's awesome. We're going to eat bugs and live in pods and, hang out with people that despise us and then hate ourselves for being something or whatever. And there are others that are just absolutely like full-blown right-wingers. So mixed freaking bag. And because you've got these like generational differences where they kind of don't talk to each other. Like when I try to talk to boomers about this stuff, like they just say, dude, you racist much? And I'm like, bro, dude, I'm trying to tell you what's going on in the world. Do you have to fucking deride me just for talking about reality itself? Like, come on, man. So there's not a lot of communication going on. So there's like disparate groups that have no unity at all. And that lack of unity regarding what's happening, that lack of comprehension and understanding regarding what's going down is going to be a really big problem, and I don't know how we're going to overcome that. I genuinely don't know how we're going to overcome that. When the boomers start dying out, which happens, by the way, within about 5 to 10 years, like in significant numbers. I mean, obviously, your average boomer is, like 60 plus right now or something. So boomers are in the beginning phases of the die-off, but it's not going to get serious for another 5 to 10 years. Then again, who knows? What is it? Those mRNA shots, the gene jabs. For all we know, there could be some kind of a weird side effect that starts taking blocks of them off. This is why I think they have those cards. Does everyone remember the cards? You would take your little gene jab, and you would get like a batch number. Like you got it from batch number X or Y or Z or whatever. I'm now starting to think that what they're getting is like Skittles or M&Ms or whatever. I don't know what kids eat these days, but you would have like candy treats with multiple flavor types, and the shot would be like one individual of it. So you might get lemon, you might get lime, you might get apple, you might get cherry, you might get strawberry, you might get orange, you might get grape, who freaking knows, or you might get the placebo. And so when I say blocks of boomers possibly getting taken out by the mRNA shots, what I mean is there could end up being a situation where those who got the actual mRNA shots, there could be bullshit that happens with that. And those that got the placebo, there could be who knows what happens with those people. I have no freaking clue. And I do think that, I do genuinely think that a lot of people got placebos. The only way that these experiments work is if you have a test group and a control group. So for sure, absolutely no questions asked. People did get placebos. How many of them got placebos? I have no freaking clue. But for sure, people got placebos. So if you know people that got the shot, they got the gene jab, And if they had like hideous symptoms, then they might have gotten the real deal. And if they had either no symptoms or light symptoms, might have been a placebo. Tough to say. Very, very tough to say, but it's completely possible. Anyhow, once the boomers die off in the next little while, dude, Juan Doses, you settle down, buddy. This is not a stream of hate. This is a stream of peace. Once the boomers start going out, that demographic shift, it's going to get intense really, really fast. And I really don't think that people are prepared for this. I just don't. And I think that it's going to be a shock for white people. And I think that the non-whites, because once white people finally start to catch on that they are A, a minority, and B, a despised minority, I think that there's going to be a response. I don't know what that response is going to be. It's just going to be a response. And whatever it is, it could range from, being mildly upset and saying, yeah, well, I guess I'm just going to go out, sipping a martini. I don't know. It could be anything from that to saying, hard line. We're now saying that we want territory for ourselves that is restricted to us and only for us. Theoretically possible. And regardless of what the response happens to be, there's probably going to end up, once there is that response, there's probably going to end up being a response to that response. And this is where conflicts come up. And if you think about South Africa, weirdly, South Africa, as they're in the middle of their ethnic cleansing, those poor bastards, they're not doing anything. It's really, really peculiar. And mildly blackpilling, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I see what's going on in South Africa, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope that we don't do that here in America, because if we do, then basically we've got, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? We're just gonna watch as everything gets burned around us, and then we're going to cross our fingers that it happens to not hurt us too bad. That's a terrible thing. I don't want that to happen. So, in the words of Four Non-Blondes, and I pray, oh my God, do I pray. I pray every single day, and this is where I break away, because her words were for a revolution, and if I were going to pray every single day for a revolution, I doubt that my idea of a revolution and her idea of a revolution would be identical, but I still do pray nonetheless. Anyway, that said, I do want to go ahead and just say that, Rupert Morris says that there is no response in Argentina, and yes, it is true that there are multiple instances of whites basically being ethnically cleansed and not doing anything about it. Think about Brazil. Brazil, you had the Hispania, and then what happened? They just got subsumed, and now you've got sort of nothing against them. I've known some Brazilians, beautiful people, just fantastic. And I mean that too, by the way. I've actually known proper Brazilians, great people. Interestingly, I knew one from the Southern Cone, and I actually thought that she was German. And then I found out years later she was German. Anyway. Whatever, anyway. You can still find them there, but at the same time, it's but they're a striking minority out there. And then you look at South Africa, same deal. And there's no disparagement on my part, absolutely zero disparagement on my part. I'm just noting what happened, and the whites in South Africa. I really feel like I want to stress this point, because I am not trying to put them down. I'm really not. But at the same time, dude, it happened. And that's just what happened. And looking at Los Angeles, dude, it happened. I am an extreme minority here. and there was zero pushback. Indeed, many of the people, many of the whites who were being attacked or harassed or hounded or whatever, driven out for economic reasons. In most instances, it was economic reasons. Same thing. What fight did they put up? Basically zero. So I'm not trying to be too much of a Debbie Downer, but at the same time, the situation does need to be seen for what it is. Anyhow, that said, I do think that we are going to, at some point, end up with some form of a response. I genuinely do think that. And the only reason that I think that is because of myself and the model that I'm going off of is that most people are NPCs. They really are. And it's the responsibility and duty of those who are aware to say things and to do things on behalf of those who can't. A little bit like superheroes. Yes, I know I'm moving into Bugman thought patterns, but whatever. I'm tired. It's after midnight here. We can think about the heroes of yore, where you would have, before comic books, you would have, gallant knights or whatever, and they would have squires and whatnot, and they would go off to battle, and they would do so for the township. And I think that's kind of what we need. I really do think that. That's my honest opinion. And at the moment, we are... anyone that puts their head up and starts to object, they are immediately attacked. They are immediately tapped down, pushed down, taken down. They will have their feet knocked out from under them. It could be financially, could be legally, could be socially. Taking out Twitter is easy. Taking out Facebook is easy. Dude, why don't we just start ruining this person's marriage? Why don't we make them jobless? It doesn't take a lot. You can take somebody out. You don't even have to assassinate people anymore. You can simply make sure that that person is incapable of communicating. I'm not, I don't want to go too far into my thought patterns on the guy, but, Richard Spencer, that guy, he was speaking up about white people, and then boom, he has been effectively non-personed. My understanding is that he still has a Twitter account that he uses or something, and I think he might stream still. I don't really know, but he basically doesn't exist. Nothing against him personally, but I'm just saying, if you poke your head up and start to notice and talk about it, you are isolated really, really fast. So, even though here I am saying, we need to start, growing a set of balls, man. We need to grow a backbone, man. We need to start talking about stuff, man. I understand very well how difficult that is. I get it. I completely get it. And we are in a really, really tough spot. And one of the things that crosses my mind a lot is, okay, so if you've got a lot of people that are being attacked, and they're being isolated, they're being sectioned off from society, so on and so forth, you don't give these people an out. If you don't give these people options, if you don't give these people places to go, then they start to feel confined and cornered. And even though I don't like the rat analogy, because rats, it still serves. It still serves, which is that a cornered rat is really, really dangerous. Really, really dangerous, as we all know, because the rat has nothing to lose. Forward escape is a real thing. So one of the things that I do kind of fear is that we could end up in a situation where forward escape is really the only viable option. But I mean, good heavens, like even saying that makes me feel a little bit claustrophobic, because it's like, well, but we're already in a situation where we don't have a whole hell of a lot to lose. You know, we don't have a country anymore. The government does not represent us. So, you know, I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of it. I really don't know what to make of it. The only thing that I know is that we are going to make it somehow. I don't know how. I just know that there's been a weird thing where for hundreds of thousands of years, for as long as humans have existed, for whatever reason, we, the Teutons, the Celts, the Anglos, the Slavs, the Normans, etc., what is it, the Visigoths, the Ostrogoths, the Lemurians, whatever you want to call them, the Nords, for whatever reason, we have managed to survive. And there have been multiple instances, my understanding anyway, there have been multiple instances when humanity has actually been brought all the way down to like tens of thousands of people. Somehow we have managed to survive. How? Don't know, but we have. So I know we're going to be okay. At the same time, it's like, oh my gosh, dude, there could be untold horror waiting for us, and I would have no idea about it. So, you know, weird stuff. Oh, Bearson Jetrix is saying he doesn't have a cell phone. I am so jealous of that. Anyway, I'm going to play a little bit more music. I think I'm going to go ahead and sort of... I'm going to wind the music down just a little bit. What am yeah, somebody was saying, oh, he's going to play some Vaporwave. Yeah, I am. Alright, let's get this ready. Let's play some Vaporwave. Alright guys, this is Livin' Loose with George Clanton. Heavy topics that we've been discussing, so we're just going to go ahead and we're going to bring it down just a little bit. Yeah, and then the track just stops. They're just like, okay, we're done. We're over it. That's funny. Anyway, all right. And I want to go ahead and throw this one thing out because yeah, it was let's see here. Yeah, this is sometimes I do get a little bit heavy, and I want to go ahead and ease up on that just a little bit because there is something that does come to mind a lot, and this is worth it. This is worth it, which is we have. I might be crazy. I might not. I'm really not sure, but. And I think that over next week, I'll probably end up streaming about this on my DLive channel because I'm going to be streaming somebody else's content. And it's a reading of Eustace Mullins's book, The Curse of Canaan. And sorry, it's late. It's after midnight. The Curse of Canaan describes basically my overall thesis, and there are elements of the book that I think are flatly wrong, to be honest. So I'm not going to sign off on everything that's in the book, but the spirit of it makes perfect sense to me. And again, even though there are particulars that I think are wrong, I understand what he's saying, and I get the thrust of the book, and I'm all about it. 1 second. Deathcog Unit says I might be retarded, but I get no user when I search for Ekelux on Telegram. I'm basically hidden on Telegram, so how about this? If you've got a username, throw it in chat. Or maybe I'll take myself off of super hidden for like 5 minutes or something. I'm gonna have to go to settings. Let's see here. Settings, privacy and security. Last seen everybody. Yeah, it looks like everybody can find me. That's what it looks like anyway. So, oh, you know what? It might be Eke with a space rather than an underscore. Try it with a space just to see what happens. And again, if you throw your username into the chat, I'll make a note of it and then delete it immediately in the chat. But anyway, there's one thing that occurs to me. Which is that the book, The Curse of Canaan, outlines essentially an ancient war between the Canaanites and to the north, and the Israelites to the south. And the only reason, and I stress only reason, that I find this to be somewhat credible is because if you look at like ancient Hebrew or something, my understanding is that there are, up in the British Isles, there are overlaps in Welsh and in Gaelic. So, you know, it's not a one-to-one at all. You're basically looking at, certain phonetics, kind of like how Indo-European, you'll notice, Regent and Raja, you know, stuff like that. Mater, mater, mother, these kinds of weird things that pop up. Yeah, Flynn Taggart is not me. For me, it's the same William Blake painting that I've got for Ekelux live streams is the same. I use the same William Blake painting on Telegram for the sake of continuity. Let's see here, contacts. Is it possible to contact search? Yeah, I would search for you, but I don't know. Let's see here. Copy. Searching. Is that like, well, no, Flynn Fly Taggart is like some other weird thing that looks like some other weird thing. All right. I just messaged some random guy. I was like, oh, hey, what's going on? He's probably going to be like, who the fuck are you? Anyway. All right, so moving on. The whole thing with, see here, I think your account is deleted, Eke. I can see some of your old chats, though. No, I'm still on Telegram. I just don't, I'm really, 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 esoteric, and I don't go outside. I don't talk to people at all. So it's not against anyone at all. I just happen to be a very private person. Yeah, I just hold on one second. I accidentally texted somebody. He's texting me back and he's like, who the fuck are you? One second. I'm sorry, I have to take this right now. All right. The guy's like, who the fuck is this? What's going on? Anyway. All right. So the thing is that the Canaanites and that whole thing with, and yeah, Deathcog Unit, please either drop your username or whatever. We'll find a way to convene. Fuck, I don't want to make myself outwardly known. That's not what I'm going for. Let's see here. Yeah, because I've got it for privacy and security, everybody forwarded messages, everybody profile photo, everybody. Yeah, everybody can find me if they know who I am. But that's basically it. Because I've got basically everything thrown into everyone, except for very, very specific information, and it might be the specific information that is keeping people from finding me. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to. Okay. There we are. I think I've got it. All right. Anyhow, coming back again to Cain and the Canaanites. Yeah, it does look as though they're Cain may not have. Oh God, yeah. I was just listening to freaking Eustace Mullins talk about this, and I've heard other people talk about these things too, where there does seem to be in the Bible, there does seem to be a mark of some sort against darker people because they are Ham or whatever, and Ham is cursed for reasons or something like that. Anyway. And that is, I think, associated with Cain, but that's a separate issue entirely. The point is that the Canaanites up north, who I believe ended up becoming the Edomites, who, interestingly, if you think about Ron Perlman, look at Ron Perlman. What does he got? He's got red hair. He's an Edomite. Edom. I'm actually convinced now that we're looking at an inverted history. I actually think that we're looking at an inverted history, as crazy as that sounds. One in which the Canaanites, the Edomites, they are basically LARPing as Israelites, and they have adopted certain monikers and labels, appropriated them, if you will, for themselves, when in fact they are just regular Canaanites. It's a much longer thing, it takes a little while to describe, but basically, if you look at the people that are attacking us currently, as insane as this might sound, the people that are attacking us currently, they thrive on lies, deception. Look at what they do. They redefine things. They change rules. They change definitions. They do what they can to re-engineer language and thought itself so that they always become correct and right. This is why they end up being so slippery, whoever these people are. And it occurred to me that and this is actually what I wanted to talk about when earlier I was saying that, I've been too much of a doomer and whatever, and, I come out of that, the way for me to come out of this is you've got this like weird esoteric, like crypto religious racial war going on that basically almost nobody knows is happening. And the two major sides, there are overlaps, hashtag not all, I get it. But the two major sides, it seems to be schizos versus autists. That's what I'm seeing. The Canaanites are basically schizos. You'll note that Canaanite blood, they have a propensity for neurological disorders, and they are 40% more likely to manifest formal schizophrenia. So when I say schizos versus autists, like half of that's tongue-in-cheek, like, yeah, it's an oversimplification and it's kind of retarded. It is actually kind of silly. But on the other hand, there kind of is something to it as well. Schizos are divorced from reality. The entire concept of schizoid or schizophrenia is that you are divorced from reality. You have a difficult time discerning reality. As George Costanza once said, it's not a lie if you believe it. Imagine for a moment that the Canaanites decided that they wanted to LARP as Israelites, and imagine that they spent 2,000 years convincing themselves that they were Israelites. It's not a lie if you believe it. Anyhow, on the other hand, look at autistic people. Autistic people are very grounded in reality, and in fact, they don't like confusion. Your average autist does everything possible to avoid confusion. They don't like it. They don't like ambiguities. They don't like overloads of information. They like stable patterns. So when I say schizo versus autist, again, it is a grotesque simplification. I do get that. I really do get that. However, I will say this one thing. The people that, I don't know who these people are. So whoever they are, there is a them, and I don't know, I cannot define them. I cannot name them. But whoever they are schizoid, and they are divorced from reality. So they don't have a firm grasp on it. What that means is that they are going to end up making missteps. They're going to overextend themselves. They're going to make decisions based on faulty data, faulty information, a false perception of reality. This is, from a combat standpoint, this is good news, because this means that they have fantastic weak spots that can absolutely be exploited. Okay, so we're gonna move away from the schizoids. We're gonna come over to the autists for a moment. The autists, autistic people are notoriously bad at socializing. They're notoriously bad at cooperation and crap like that, which does suck. But they do have the one good thing, the one good point, which is that they are grounded in reality. So they will take an honest assessment of what's going on, what is, what exists, the situation, the circumstance, and they'll make decisions based on their observations. And they'll think it through as best they can so as to rule out as much ambiguity as possible, to rule out as many unknowns as possible, so that what you end up with, yes, I've heard of the Habsburgs, I do need to look into the Habsburgs a little bit further, so that an autist, even if an autist starts making decisions based on ambiguities, based on things that might be a little bit difficult to understand, things that may end up being a gamble, at the very least, it's a gamble that they understand. It's a known gamble, so that they may be taking chances. They may be, winging a prayer, but on the other hand, it's a known unknown, and that's the power of the autist, to isolate the unknowns into something that is relatively manageable, so that you can at least deal with that, and that's the advantage. So, even though I spent the first hour of this stream talking about all kinds of terrible situations and how things are very serious, and they are serious. They really are serious. There is a certain amount of things are kind of okay, only in the sense that historically, we have managed to come out of these things, and I do think that we're going to manage to come out of it again on a net level. I think that there's going to be a lot of individual tragedies, just as there are lots of individual tragedies already happening. But I do think that we're going to end up on a net level. I think that we're going to end up being okay because we are grounded in reality. Even though we have, good heavens, I really love the phrase activist billionaire. I don't know where I stole that from, but whoever that person is that I stole it from, yoink, it's mine now. And I would encourage people to spread that around because it's great. And I really think that it would help out a lot, because any linguistic trick, I'm not above using language to hurt the people that hate us, even though I think that sometimes they go a bit far with it. It's like, well, you know what? They're going to have to learn how to take a couple of licks now and again themselves, take a hit to give a hit. If they're going to hit, they're going to get hit back. It's just the way that it goes. Talk shit, get hit. So I love calling it corporate media because lefties hate that. They're like, we hate corporations, man. And then you tell them that they listen to corporate media and they huff and puff and they don't know what to say. I love it. And also with activist billionaires, it's basically the same thing. They was like, oh, I hate billionaires, all the freaking, all the millionaires and billionaires, man, the 1%, man, and then you're like, yeah, but you fucking take cues from activist billionaires, bro. So call them out. Anyway, yeah, things are pretty rough. Like, I get it. But at the same time, I do think on a net level we're going to be okay. I really do think that. I genuinely think that. So, even though I spent the first hour being a Debbie Downer, please try to keep in mind that my mindset is not pure doom and gloom. It's just that I do think that, in order to get to the point of being able to say we're going to make it, you have to understand that there is something we're going to come out the other side. In order to say the phrase we're going to come out the other side, you have to understand that there is something that you're about to go into. If you're going to say something like we're going to survive the great fight, you have to know that you're going to go into a fight. So the only reason that I even bother myself to talk about the big fight is because, well, we need to know about it. We need to spread that around. Other people need to know about it. And then, yeah, like once you understand that there is a fight, once you understand the nature of the fight, and once you can figure out pathways toward victory, not to say that it's an assured victory. It's just that you can't get to a victory unless you can identify paths toward it. So, once again, the whole, lies versus truth thing, schizoid versus autist. Once you have identified a path, then it's much easier to start moving in that direction, organizing yourself to take advantage of and to exploit the advantages. Take advantage of advantages? God, what a retarded sentence. But it's easier to utilize advantages if you understand a path, and I think that's where we need to be. So anyway, all right, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get ready to play some music. Once again, I hope this does not get my channel. I hope there are no strikes or weird bull crap, because that'd be super duper lame. What do we got here? There we go. This is good enough. No, that's actually. Let's see. I want something kind of douchey. Okay, here we go. It's a little. It's not what I'm looking for. Kind of. Sort of. Okay, that's stupid. We're not gonna go with that. Cancel, buddy. All right, we're just gonna go with that. All right. Sorry, I was looking at what Casio watch I want to go ahead and use for the following. We're going to listen to one of my favorite, speaking of douchebag music, we're going to listen to one of my favorite douchebag music tracks. I freaking love this track. This is another example of pure vintage 80s hard nostalgia. This is this is like the PCP of fucking 80s nostalgia. So anyway, this is a favorite of mine, and here we go.
I still Yes, I still believe through the shame, through the grief, through the heartache, through the tears, through the way, through the years. For people like us, in places like this, we need all the hope we can get. No, I still believe. And I still believe. Oh, I still believe. I still believe.
You will never be a buff, oiled up saxophonist in the 1980s. Just let that sink in. Alright, I think I'm going to go ahead and get ready to call stream. I think, I kind of want to play an album for old time's sake. So, that's what I'm going to do. Let me see if we can find something. I miss streaming. I do. Yikes. There's some really good stuff that's been put out over the past while. Some of which is I really want to play. Some of it I really want to play, but these are like longer albums, and I can already tell that I'm gonna want to go to sleep in the not too distant future. So even though I really want to play some of these longer albums, I'm going to see if I can find something that's a little bit shorter. Just a little bit shorter. Let's look. Let's see if we can find anything that's recognizable that one would probably want to play. Let's see here. White Banshee. Apparently Black Banshee wasn't hard enough. They wanted to go with White Banshee too, as opposed to Blank Banshee. Yes, those are all different monikers. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. These people are out of control. Let's see here. I almost want to go with Sangam or Haircuts for Men, because I know that I'll probably end up liking their stuff. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of smaller names with pretty cool some of these look really cool, but I can't be absolutely sure. Oh my god. Yeah, there's an album that I did play that I did not like, and it was a cold listen, and it ended up not panning out. I was kind of bummed out about that. Yeah, geez, I almost want to just play any old thing and just let it go. I'm very close to just doing that. I'm very close to just picking a thing and letting it go. Oh, you know what's really cool? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna see. I might play this one that I do kind of like. Okay, you know what? No, I'm not going to. It's a little bit dark. It's just a little bit dark. So I'm not going to play that. Never mind. Rescinded. There's this album by Autumn, and that's A-U-T, and then the number 2, and then an M. So, they're cheeky, because it's freaking Vaporwave, and that's all they do these days. Cheeky bullshit. So I'm not going to do that. But there's an album by Autumn called ABCD, and it's really good. I like it a lot, and I highly recommend it. The only issue is, the only issue is that it's a little bit dark, and I don't want to play anything too dark at the moment. So I think I'm going to go with, if I can find it, I just had it. I think I'm going to go with 2814. There's an album that's half an hour long, and that seems just about right for me. So I think I'm going to go with that. Yeah. We're going to go with 2814. Looking for, I've got all these ridiculous images everywhere, and I don't want any of them up right now. There we go. I'm going to go with the good old A159. That's going to be the image for the album play, as is tradition. Alright guys, I'm going to let out. I want to thank everybody for popping by. I'm probably going to do another stream tomorrow, probably. I just got a bunch of bull crap that I'm supposed to be doing right now, so whatever. But yeah, I may end up streaming tomorrow. We'll see what happens. And probably a few more times over the next couple of weeks. I've got my plans to take off sometime in July-ish, so we'll see how that goes. But regardless, thank you everybody for popping by. Euphemia Signy or Sign, I'm not sure. Yeah, thanks for popping by, sport. And to everyone in the chat, thanks for popping by. It's nice to see familiar usernames. I don't know who the hell you people are, but it's nice to see familiar usernames anyway. And I hope everyone has a good evening or morning, I suppose, it's where I am, and I assume it's where a lot of other people are. But yeah, thanks for popping by. And I don't want to go too far into it, so, just take it for what it is. But it's my opinion that we are dealing on a larger level. We are dealing with pretty serious events going on right now, and it's my opinion that you can fight evil with God on your side, or you can fight evil without God on your side. And it's my opinion that I would prefer to fight with God on my side. I will simply leave it at that. And I would also say that if you happen to know any Christians, I've had a couple of people give me some pushback on this, only because they think that it might end up being a waste of time. I don't know. Half of me genuinely thinks that what we need is to have background chatter of little pink pills. Maybe not red pills, because your average person cannot take a full red pill, but they might be able to take a watered down version of it, like a pink pill. And this is why I think that if you happen to know any Christians, I would advocate that everyone in chat, for yourself, read the book of Galatians, and then maybe don't do apologetics or anything, but it would be easier to recommend that, if you happen to know any Christians, it would be easier to recommend that your Christian friends read Galatians and get woke. I really think that's very important. There are a lot of people that have not read the book of Galatians and do not understand the significance of what is within that book. So read Galatians and get woke. Also, brush and floss those teeth. We could end up going through bizarre situations in the not too distant future, and if we're going to go through those, I think that it would be a good idea to have bright, beautiful, shiny teeth. So do remember to brush and floss, and you don't have to floss all of your teeth. I want to make that very clear. You don't have to floss all of them, just the ones you want to keep. And also, wrist check once again, Casio F91 on wrist. That's module 593. Fantastic wristwatch. It's less expensive than the cost of lunch. And this thing is more accurate than a $5,000 mechanical. So I highly recommend getting yourself a little Casio wristwatch. If we're going to be doing things out of doors, I would recommend doing them without your tracking device, without your cell phone. And, if you're going to go out of doors without your cell phone, it's a good idea to know how to divide up your time, allocate this much time to this and that much time to that. And it's much easier to do that with a wristwatch. Back in the 1990s and 1980s, that's what we would do. That's how we would make sure that we're on time. Didn't have cell phones to rely on. So, yeah, I do recommend getting a little Casio wristwatch. Again, I mean, dude, what are these things, like $15 on Amazon or something? I went to a brick and mortar a little while ago, and I found the F91 for like $25 or something. Dude, $25, that's like lunch. So join the water resistance, my guys. All right, I'm going to go ahead and let out. Once again, thank you everyone for popping by. And I hope you all have a very good evening. And now we are going to listen to 2814. The name of this, I think it's an EP more than it is an album, because it's only 2 tracks long. Each of them is about 15 minutes apiece. So I guess we'll just say that it's an EP. But yeah, this EP is entitled Voyage Embrace. So that's what we're going to be listening to. Alright guys, cheers, and I'll see everyone around. I'll be around. I'll see you guys. Cheers.